So in this video, we'll quench our thirst regarding the universe and many more questions about the night sky and stars. So we'll quickly move to the learn about the origin of the earth. Okay. These are early theories about the origin of the earth. First of all, German philosopher Immanuel Kant has given his theory, and then mathematician Laplace revised it in 1796, and it is known as the nebular hypothesis theory. So first of all, we will know about nebular hypothesis theory. What was it? Okay. First, the meaning of nebular is nebula, and this is a very popular theory. Okay, it suggests that the solar system is formed from gas and dust orbiting the sun. The speed of rotating sun was very high, and so due to that its gravitational pull was also maximum, and it attracted smaller bodies, or you can say their dust particles and gases towards it. Okay, and this is how planets were formed. Okay, and this is what nebular hypothesis is. And then in 1900, Chamberlain and Moulton considered that a wandering star approached the sun. Okay, and then it formed a cigar shaped extension of the sun, and after they got detached from the surface of the sun, they formed a they started revolving. Okay, and after revolving, so after sometimes they condensed and formed the planets. This is what Chamberlain and Moulton told about this theory. Then afterwards, in later Sir Jeans and Sir James Jeans and later Harold Jeffrey supported this theory. Okay, now we'll move on to in 1950, Otto Schmidt in Russia and Carl Weizsäcker in Germany somewhat revised this nebular hypothesis. Okay, and according to them, according to their nebular hypothesis theory, Sun was surrounded by solar nebula containing mostly the hydrogen and helium. Okay, which along with dust particles, and due to the due to the friction, these collision of particles and collision, this disc-shaped cloud formed. Okay, and due to the process of accretion. This is what nebular hypothesis of Otto Schmidt in Russia and Carl Weizsäcker. Okay, so later modern scientists focused on the origin of the universe rather than just focusing on the origin of the planets. Okay, so we'll move in modern theories and about the origin of the universe. We'll learn how these origin of the universe took place. Okay, so first of all, we'll learn about the Big Bang theory, which is also known as expanding universe hypothesis, and it's a very famous and well accepted theory. In 1920, Hubble proved that the universe is expanding. Okay, continuously it is expanding, and he proved it by his famous balloon balloon experiment, we can tell it. And this experiment was first of all, we have to put a dot on the balloon. Then after inflating the balloon, as the balloon expands, we'll observe that the dots or the space between the dots will also be increasing, and in this way he proved that the universe is still expanding. Okay, so what is Big Bang theory? Okay, the Big Bang theory is how astronomers explain the way the universe began. Okay, it is the idea that the universe began as just a single point, then expanded and stretched to grow large as it is now, still now. Okay, and this is still stretching. Then came Hoyle's concept of steady state. It opposes Hubble's theory of 1920. Okay, of expanding universe. It tells that the universe is roughly the same at any point of time. Okay, now we'll move on to star formation, how stars formed. Okay, first of all, how galaxies were formed. Okay, it was formed due to the differences in gravitational forces, as bigger objects have higher gravitational force, so it attracted smaller bodies, leading to the formation of galaxies. Now stars were formed when nebula develops clumps of gases. Okay, and when it develops clumps of gases, and when these clumps becomes denser, they become stars. Now you might be knowing that a galaxy contains a large number of stars and light years. Light year is a measure of distance and not of time. Okay, and one light year consists of 9.461 into 10 to the power 12 kilometer. Now we'll move out formation of planets, how planets were formed. So steps have been given, and we'll move on with the steps. Okay, step by step we'll move on. The stars are localized lumps of gases within a nebula, and the gravitational force within the lumps led to the formation of a core to the gas cloud, and a huge rotating disk of gas and dust develops around the gas core. Okay. Now, in the next stage, this cloud starts getting condensed, and due to the cohesion, it develops, gets sticked together and develops what is called planetesimals. Okay. Now, in the final stage, large number of planetesimals accrete to form favor larger bodies in the form of planets, and this is how planets are formed. Now, our solar system. So there are so many points we need to learn about our solar system. Okay, it consists of 8 planets. Then nebula from which our solar system is supposed to have been formed started its collapse in core formation from 5 to 5.6 billion years ago. Okay, it was started to form 5 to 5.6 billion years ago, and these planets were formed about 4.6 billion years ago. Okay, then our solar system consists of 63 moons. Some 8 planets I've told before, 63 moons, and millions of smaller bodies like asteroids and comets and meteoroids, huge dust and gases. Okay, now out of these planets, some are inner planets and some are outer planets. So we'll learn about the inner planets and outer planets. So these are inner planets. What they lie between the sun and the belt of the asteroids. Okay, where they lie between the sun and the belt of asteroids, and the other 4 planets are called the outer planets. Fine. And these inner planets, the meaning are terrestrial, meaning earth like. Okay, they are made up of rocks and metals. Inner planets are made up of rocks and metals, and they have high densities. Okay, because they are made up of rock and metals, they have high densities comparing to these Jovian or gas giant planets. These other 4 planets are known as Jovian or gas giant planets, and they are of much larger than the terrestrial planets. These are larger than the terrestrial planets, but their density is much less than the terrestrial planets. They have low density. Okay, comparing to the terrestrial planets. And their atmosphere is consists of helium and hydrogen. Okay, they have thick atmosphere of helium and hydrogen. Okay, now we'll move on. Now then in till 2006, in August, this Pluto was considered as a planet, but after that, in a meeting of International Astronomical Union, they have considered it a dwarf planet. Okay, they have not Pluto is no more a planet. Okay, it's a dwarf planet. Now we'll read why are inner planets rocky while others are mostly in gaseous form. Bit idea might have got that they are made up of metals and rocks, so that is why they are rocky. Okay, so we'll move to the points. Okay, so how these terrestrial planets were formed. So these are formed in the close vicinity of the parent star. Okay, where it was too warm for the gases to condense to solid particles. It was too warm to solid, so they condensed into solid particles, and these Jovian planets are formed at a distant location, and that's why they are so cold also. Okay, now next point, the solar wind was more intense near the sun, so it blew off lots of gases and dust particles from the terrestrial planets, and the solar winds were not all that tense, and removal of gases from the Jovian planets didn't occur because they were far. Okay, the terrestrial planets are smaller and their lower gravity could not hold the escaping gases. So they have lower gravity due to their smaller size, so they could not hold the escaping gases. Okay, so there were 3 points, and I hope all the reasons are clear for you all. This is important to exam point of view, so memorize it clearly. Okay, now we'll move on to the moon. The moon is the only natural satellite of the earth. Like the origin of the earth, there have been attempts to explain how the moon was formed. Now then in 1838, Sir George Darwin, he suggested that initially the earth and the moon formed a single rapidly rotating body. Fine. So he suggested that the earth and moon both were the single repeatedly body. Okay, then afterwards they became a dumb bell-shaped body, and eventually it broke. So they formed different planets. Means moon was different and earth became a planet. It was also suggested that the material forming the moon was separated from the present depression from the Pacific Ocean. The depression in the Pacific Ocean, from there only the present moon was separated. Now we'll move on to the evolution of the Earth. Earlier, Earth was a barren, rocky, and hot object with a thin layer of hydrogen and helium in its atmosphere. Okay, and with passage of time, it turned from rocky and barren Earth to a beautiful planet with ample amount of water. Okay, due to some changes in the atmosphere, this occurred. The Earth has a layered structure. The Earth has a layered structure, okay, and the outermost end of the atmosphere to the center of the Earth, the material that exists is not uniform. It is different layers, and different material exists without any uniformity. Okay, so we'll learn about the evolution of lithosphere and how this layered structure has been developed and how it is arranged. Okay, now evolution of Earth. This Earth was mostly in a volatile state during its primordial stage. Okay, due to increase in density, the temperature also increased, and this resulted in. Due to this, the Earth started getting separated depending on their densities, and the heavier metals like iron started sinking towards the center of the Earth, and the lighter ones on the surface of the Earth. Okay, then these all were separated through the process called differentiation, and this material got separated into different layers. Okay, now we'll move on to the evolution of the atmosphere and hydrogen. Chiefly for earlier, Earth consisted of nitrogen and oxygen, and there are three stages in the evolution of the present atmosphere. We'll be learning about this. Okay, first of all, the first stage deals with the loss of primordial atmosphere, where and then second stage, the hot interior of the Earth contributed to the evolution of the atmosphere. This hot interior of the Earth, due to this evolution of the atmosphere, was possible. Okay, then finally the composition of the atmosphere was modified by the living world through the process of photosynthesis, and we'll go through all these steps one by step. The early atmosphere with hydrogen and helium is supposed to have been stripped off as a result of the solar winds, and this happened not only in the case of the Earth but also in other planets. Okay, all terrestrial planets. Then afterwards, when the solar winds were stripped off, then cooling of the Earth happened. Okay, and during this cooling of the Earth, gases and water were released from the interior of the solid Earth, and after this got released, this process through which these gases were released is called degassing. Okay, then in early atmosphere, this methane, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, water vapor, ammonia, and very little free oxygen were present after before degassing. Okay, then continuous volcanic eruptions contributed water vapor and gases to the atmosphere. Then after the Earth got cool, this water vapor released started getting condensed. Okay, then the carbon dioxide dissolved in rainwater. Okay, and the temperature further decreased, causing more condensation and rains. This dissolved rainwater, this carbon dioxide dissolved in rainwater caused condensation and rains. Then this rainwater got collected in the depressions to give rise to oceans. Then these oceans were formed 500 million years ago, and around 25 to 300 million years before the present, the process of photosynthesis got evolved. Okay, and this is a table. It is a geological time scale, and it is a summary of evolution of life from unicellular bacteria to the modern man. Have a look on it. Okay, now we'll move on to the evolution of life, origin of life, how our life originated, and it is the last stage in the formation of the Earth or any Earth. Okay, The last phase in the evolution of the earth relates to the origin and evolution of life, and some scientists believe that it is a chemical reaction which first generated complex organic molecules and then assembled them. Okay, then they converted themselves into inanimate matter into living substances. Okay, these geological formations are much older than some 300 million years, and it can be assumed that life began to evolve sometimes 3800 million years ago. And this line, we end this chapter. We have come to the end of this chapter.